coughing. Remember to turn off the sound notifications ringer on your computer or phone. Also, press the mute button on your phone when you're not speaking, but remember to unmute it when speaking. Also, please identify yourself when speaking or making a motion. And most importantly, please do not put the call on hold. Otherwise, we'll end up hearing hold music or ads over the call. So those are your helpful tips for today.
Great. Well, with that, I will call the meeting to order and thank everybody for participating in our second virtual Board of Trustees meeting. And everybody could please stand wherever you are and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With that, Lynn, if you could do a roll call for us.
Sure. Trustee Davis?
Here.
Trustee Doherty?
Here.
Trustee Dye?
Here.
Trustee Freckleton?
Here.
Trustee Haas?
Here.
Trustee Holness?
Here.
Howard?
Here.
Trustee Lloyd?
Here.
Trustee Labai?
Here.
Great, thank you, Lynn. Did we have any public participation?
No, sir, no requests.
Great, thank you. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there any item that somebody wants to pull out or talk about?
I'll move to accept the consent agenda. Bob Davis.
Lloyd seconds. Seconds.
Lloyd seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, we'll do a roll call. Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Doherty?
Yes.
Trustee Dye?
Yes.
Freckleton?
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Holmes?
Yes.
Yes for me. Trustee Lloyd?
Yes.
Trustee Labai?
Here. Yes.
Now let's turn it over to the president. I've asked him also to spend a little bit of time. You see a lot in the news these days about what schools are or aren't planning on doing, and I want to make sure Tom has some time to give the board an update on the current thinking here. I think it's an important topic and one that we all should get a chance to ask questions about or make sure we're comfortable with. So, Tom, over to you.
Great. Well, thank you. I'll start with that. As indicated in the last weekly that I had forwarded to you all, we began to bring programs that were suspended in the spring because we could not bring them online back last Wednesday. I personally walked through the locations with Louis Mercer, and it was running extremely smoothly. The staff and faculty and staff all abiding by the protocols put in place, as well as the students. And so we do have students at the ATC currently, our health sciences building here on this campus. In Daytona, we have a cosmetology program that begun this week. In New Smyrna Beach, we have a machining program that has started. And welding is just started this week as well. So we do have other programs, I think they're in the health-related area, that are continuing to phase in over the next few weeks. So we, again, it's gone pretty smoothly. Faculty that I was able to speak to in the walkthroughs, generally seem excited to be back, grateful to be back to help these students finish. Remember, some of these students were just weeks away from graduating and were unable to do that when we suspended classes. So they obviously are in programs like EMT and respiratory care that we certainly need in the healthcare industry today, and all the programs. Every program is important, and they all are happy to get that credential so that they can seek employment. So went very well. I'm going to move to talk about the summer plan. Maybe when you can pull that up. And again, it was emailed to you all if you get a chance to take a look at it. And it's tentative in terms of we have not yet decided yet if we'll do it. I mean, it's looking extremely promising that we will, but we're still going to continue to evaluate and get some guidance. So if you're looking at it, it'll be all in a hybrid model. Again, doing that to just reduce frequency and density, and there's a total of just 20 classes. When you think about the size of this campus and 20 classes, it is located in, I think, 3 buildings is where we're going to get it down to. So that's still part of the discussion to just partly just help manage, because what we're doing on the other locations is we are actually controlling the points of entry and the exit. So, you know, we have one entrance and one exit, again, trying to reduce the passing of each other as much as possible. And a lot of, you know, again, protocols such as doors being left open in the classrooms and things like that. Again, reduce the number of times people have to touch a door. So, so that's the schedule there. Every one of these courses is currently on the schedule for B-term in an online format. So this will purely be made available as a choice for, you know, students. So it won't be this is the only class they need to graduate and they have to take it in this format. Again, every one of these classes are also offered online, and we are also going to adjust the class size down a little bit to make it a smaller classroom, so that within the classroom space there'll be distancing opportunities there. So that's the summer schedule. I guess before I move on to the fall, I just wanted to see if there's any questions and if the board generally feels comfortable with this plan.
When you say hybrid, just explain what does that mean in this context?
Sure. So it's not a set number percentage in terms of 50% online, 50% face-to-face, but hybrid generally means that some of the instruction is done in a classroom and some of it is done online. Generally, it's around that 50-50, but it can vary. It could be, you know, 70% online and 30% face-to-face. And, you know, within that kind of range, Amy, maybe I don't know what the actual range is, but there's a little bit of a range in that.
30 to 79%.
So the course could be between 30 and 79% online and be considered a hybrid course. So, and hybrids are, our data shows that student success is among the highest in this modality. So, any questions from the board?
I would just, Mr. Howard, I would just say that normally if this were not a hybrid like that, English class would meet 4 days a week, every day, and so now it'll only meet twice. So the students only come in 2 times. The rest is online.
Yes. Yeah, a little different than the fall semester because it's not a 15-week schedule, it's a 6-week schedule.
Board members, any questions for Tom on the hybrid option or just other?
Yes, I have a question. Betty Holness. Tom, the face-to-face is going to vary according to the room size of the instruction area for each of the different classes?
Looking at what is up there, I think, and Amy, you can chime in, I think all those classes, which one I don't know for sure would be the biology, but all the others would be about the same size.
Okay, so I was wondering if there was a larger lecture hall in some.
These are pretty big rooms.
We're putting them, we're putting them in the biggest rooms basically we have, but we're not making the classes bigger. We're actually making them smaller than they would be in a regular classroom. So That makes sense. So English, for example, if we would normally put in 25, I'm not sure we determined the exact number yet, but maybe 18 or so. And rather than being in a traditional class that sits 30 students or 32 with, English normally is at 25, we would put that in a classroom that could seat, 50 and only put maybe 18 or 20 in that class. Again, that's going to allow just, for comfort and spreading things out. And again, we envision the continuation of our protocol for wearing masks in these classes for summer B.
Thank you.
And when would the drop dead date be for the decision? So you said this is tentative. When would you?
Yeah, I think our plan calls for a final decision to be done next week.
Other questions for Tom? Back to you.
Great, thank you. All right, so let's move to what we're looking at in the fall. And again, this is still very much a working document, we spent a lot of our time over the last 2 months focusing on how we bring back the PSAV groups that started, as well as looking at that summer. So fall has now got our, pretty much our full attention the last week or so. So we've had a few meetings, and so we have 3, and all of this that I've shown, I've also shared with the Chancellor of the system to, get feedback and see where we are in terms of, phasing back, and she has thought we've been just fine with the plan. So, and talking about fall, she did mention, make sure you have, a couple, versions of what that would look like, which we were already planning on that. We said we've been talking about fall for a while. We just are putting more down on paper last week or two. So we have 3 plans. Plan A is basically taking as many classes as we can, and Amy's got them listed by class type on the left-hand side. And, we would convert pretty much any class that's feasible to convert to a hybrid model. And now there are some classes that are just, don't lend itself to that. For example, our performance classes and, music and things like that, ensemble classes. And we, as you can see, we have a guideline currently of up to 75% of that room capacity. And that will vary, obviously, depending on the actual class. So again, it's a guideline. Some classrooms just may not work at quite 75, so it might be 65% in the seats we make available, or, So there comes a point where if the class is so small, it doesn't make it worth running. So we'll have to be looking at all that. And things like, we have a very large band program that we do, and that might not be able to, where you get several hundred people together, and so that probably is not going to be feasible this fall, but we'll be able to do smaller type things. And again, as I mentioned to the faculty and staff, I think back in March, creativity and flexibility is the name of the game. So we're just asking them to be, to achieve their goals, just to be as creative in doing so that we can keep safety at the forefront of how we bring students back and staff back as well. So there you go. That's the game plan by types, and even the PSAVs that were always all face-to-face. Many of them through this experience have been, obviously they put things online whatever they could, and it seemed to have worked well, that they would like to continue with some of those, not every program, but most programs are going to be able to do a hybrid version of that program. So again, reducing the volume and density of students coming and going to the campuses. Let's keep scrolling. Was there anything on there that might trigger my thought process there? So you can see culinary as well. And you know what's not on the summer? Did we decide on culinary in summer?
We are adding one international cuisine class in summer B.
Summer B. So what you saw plus a course in the international cuisine for culinary in summer B. And again, summer B begins for us on June 29th. So, and then you see a lot of you know our famous Cafe 101, and the thought right now in the fall that it may open, but we would have a more controlled group of people that would get to dine there. For example, myself, and maybe a few that like to join me for lunch in Cafe 101. So that's the current thought right there.
There we go, next plan.
Yeah. There. So Plan B is, again, we monitor, we have a daily meeting and monitoring the data in terms of cases and things like that with COVID-19. So if things begin to spike to a point that guidance changes, we begin to move most of the hybrids to online, and the face-to-face, we begin to look at somewhat of what we did this for the PSAVs that came back, but looking at it may be a little bit more than just the PSAVs, because we've gotten some feedback in certain classes like math and whatnot that the value in having a little bit of that face-to-face. So we would move most courses online and split some sections to smaller groups. So that's, for example, if the CDC guideline says back down to under 10, 10 or under, then we'll adapt to that guideline. And maybe it's a different number. So that's basically Plan B. And then Plan C, and why we did the online, we decided to do hybrid as our Plan A, and to the most part not a whole lot of face-to-face, because at least it's going to be a lot of work. We want to acknowledge that on the faculty side to go hybrid. Almost probably more work than bringing the whole course online, because now they got to go back in and pick and choose what's more appropriate to be face-to-face versus online. But from the student perspective, the thought is for them a little less shocking to go from 100% face-to-face to full 100% online. So this way they're going to be in a hybrid model so that their weekly activity is going to include online work, online lecturing, online videos, and whatnot. And in the event, this is in the event, obviously, that something happens that would cause this guidance to do kind of like we did in the spring. So we've got that thought process laid out, and so that's my kind of review on that. And again, we'd like to see if the board is comfortable with this plan at this point.
Questions for Tom?
This is Gary Lubai. Tom, I think you and Amy and the team have done a great job of mapping this out. And I like what you said earlier, too, is flexibility, because as we all know, weekly, if not daily, we're getting updated data, information, and none of us know where this is going to be come summertime, much less the fall. So I applaud you for what you have done to this point. I think it's a great plan.
Any other
This is
comments?
Bob Lloyd.
And I would second that. I think that's it's a very thoughtful plan, and it's data driven. And one of the issues that's been driving many of us crazy out here in the private sector is the unreliability of the data that we're receiving from across the country, and particularly with regard to measures being taken to arrest and mitigate from the virus. So it's a moving target. It is very volatile situation when trying to make firm decisions, but this is a measured approach, and I think it's a great one.
Mary Ann Haas. Tom, I wanted to thank you and your staff for reassuring us that you have put into place a very proactive plan, and we feel very comfortable about the upcoming semesters. Thanks.
Tom, it's Lloyd. I just want to, and I'm pretty sure you have done it already, this information you're going to shoot out to all the students, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. As soon as we firm that up, which, again, summer, the plan is to do that next week, and as well as fall. We kind of want to get that message out to the students and the faculty. We're still getting feedback and ideas from all parts of the campus on the fall, and so the fall may roll out a little bit later than the summer plan, but close. And we will definitely communicate that with everyone. And interesting, we've done quite a few different surveys, and they've been very helpful. Amy did a leadership survey. Eric's done a student survey. Faculty Senate has done a faculty survey. And so that's all helpful information that we are using to help, form the plan. And it's I can share that it's kind of 50-50 in regards to wanting to stay online, wanting to come back to do face-to-face. But so that clearly there's students that want to come back to some form of face-to-face modality, and same on the side of the faculty and staff. There's clearly some that want to, and some that have some reservations with that, and on both sides, whether they can, whether it's their preference. They feel some fields, they would prefer doing it face-to-face because they think that's a better way of doing it, or whatever their personal preference is, and others, not so much, and some have, concerns just because of the, the health and safety part of it. But what we are doing and saying is that, we obviously are following all the guidelines that are out there, and that, we are always bringing, safety as the number one criteria as we bring people back, so that we're, when we ask someone, we bring a class back or an office back, that it's it not only meets, but, Louis kind of gives us kind of a barometer of where we are in terms of the guidelines, and I think in most cases we exceed the guidelines in terms of protocols and things like that are in place. So.
Great. Well, thanks for the update. Thanks to the staff. You heard the board members say, we know you've done a lot of work. I felt it was important for the board to hear what the plans were and get a chance to comment on it. It's an important decision. So great work, and appreciate all the effort.
Great. Thank you. So I do need a motion. I guess last month when I asked for a motion to give us the authority to enforce safety protocols, that was only given to me for the month. So
I make that motion. Bob Davis.
Okay, so the motion would be to extend the authorization to enforce safety protocol measures through the fall semester.
Bob, you're still okay with the motion?
Yes. Yes.
And a second?
Lloyd, second.
Any discussion? Do a roll call. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Guy?
Aye.
Ferguson?
Aye.
Hobbs?
Aye.
Trustee Holness?
Aye.
Trustee Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Just the other update I'd like to cover too was we had our virtual commencement on the 11th, and again, Dr. Howard, thank you for participating in the pre-taping of that part, and shout out to a lot of employees that made that happen within academic affairs, student life, and our IT department, as well as our television station. If I missed anyone, thank you again on the effort that was made. I'm not sure if everyone got a chance to view it, but some interesting stats. We had over 800 graduates participate, and they sent in, if you saw the photos that we could put up while we called their name, it gave them an opportunity to also give a comment. And then if you were on at 6 o'clock, which was really neat, because I've never been on one of these, I was blown away by the comments that family members and friends were making while the commencement was going on with congratulatory comments. It really just blew me away. So we had at the time of the initial YouTube stream, we had over 2,200 people logged on watching it the first time. To date, we've had over 10,700 views of the commencement ceremony. So, kudos to the staff, and if there's any graduates out there, again, congratulations to all you 2020 graduates. So other activities, I think I've mentioned a few of these. Again, the commencement, doing walkthroughs, and I'm periodically walking through the classroom facilities. And I had a Zoom introduction meeting 2 days ago with the brand new president of UCF, Dr. Cartwright. Had a great conversation. We talked for almost an hour. Just regarding our relationship as a direct connect college. And we've actually came close to crossing paths. He was up in the Albany area of New York in his past career as well. So looking forward to continuing to work with the University of Central Florida. And I'll go back to the agenda. So under the agenda, I will have a memo here. This is we need approval to approve the agreement for the CARES Act funding Part 2. Part 2 is, if you remember from last month, we had Part 1. Part 1 is funds that can go directly to students, that must go directly to students. Part 2 is operational in nature. So we would need a motion to approve.
So moved. Bob Davis.
Betty Holden, second.
Mary Ann Haas.
Any discussion? Quick roll call. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Guy?
Aye.
Trustee Freckleton?
Aye.
Huh?
Aye.
Holness?
Aye.
Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Thank you. The next item is as you recall, we were the recipient of the Title III grant this past fall, and due to the pandemic, we also were eligible to apply for additional support through the CARES Act funding program, and we were awarded that. So there's an agreement for a CARES Act funding under the Title III grant.
Get a motion for this one?
So moved, Bob Davis.
Second?
Second, Bob Lloyd.
Second. Okay.
Any discussion? Do a quick roll call. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
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 Freckleton?
Aye.
Aye.
Holness?
Aye.
Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. The next item is college has a policy and a procedure for financial exigency, and I'm looking for approval to, as stated, if needed, to be able to exercise the policy and procedure. And this is where we're a bit of the unknown in terms of financial impact to the institution. We don't know yet what impact our budget will be from the state, and also from just enrollment, generally speaking. So we do have the ability to use reserves and talk to you all about that and try to use that to the extent we can. But in the event we need to exercise some decisions, we would do that under the policy and procedure as already been previously approved.
I have a motion.
So moved,
Bob
Mary Ann
Davis.
Hawk.
Okay, I'll second, Bob Davis.
Any discussion? Quick roll call. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Doherty?
Aye.
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 Trustee Freckleton? Come back. Trustee Haas?
Aye.
Holness?
Aye.
Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
And Trustee Freckleton?
Aye.
Thank you. Item E is I would want to thank Gary Lubai, who serves on the Housing Board, Dr. Howard as well, who worked with us in looking at the financing part of the process. When the GMP was given to the college, it exceeded the budget. Therefore, at that point, the decision was made to postpone the project to a later date. So I would need a motion to postpone the residential housing project until a later date.
You need a motion for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can I have a motion?
Lloyd moves.
A second?
Hold a second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Doherty?
Aye.
Yes.
Trustee Freckleton?
Aye.
Trustee Haas?
Aye.
Trustee Holness?
Aye.
Trustee Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
Thank you.
And, we will have a meeting, I think, scheduled next week with the contractors, and we're going to, begin to debrief that whole situation and we will be, re-engaging our Facilities Planning Advisory Committee as well in the coming, months here. So and we'll continue to keep you apprised on the status of that project. And that concludes my report.
All right.
Thank you. I have 3 items on the agenda. One is an informational. The first 2 are agreements. The first agreement is with Wireless Edge for a tower consulting agreement. I want to thank Elaine, Roberto, and Larry for grinding this one out. It did take a long time. Essentially, there are 3 parts to the agreement. One is the master agreement, and that's what we're really approving today. It is a 5-year term with an option to renew for 5 years, and it can be renewed thereafter. This is more the marketing side of the agreement. The other 2 parts are one is labeled C1 in your packet. The other exhibit C2. C1 is one for college-owned facilities, the college-owned towers, and the rates broke down for those is if we have an existing tenant, the college still maintains 100% of the revenue. If Wireless finds another tenant to put on our structure, the college receives 82%, and 18% will go to Wireless Edge. This is a 30-year term, and that starts the day this type of agreement is brought back to the board. C2 is for a new tower that the Wireless Edge constructs on Daytona State College property. And of course, the location would have to be approved by the board, and it would be in the document C2. That would be a longer term. It would run 10 years with rights to renewal for 10-year. That's at the Wireless option, so it could be a total of 50 years. And the revenue is split 50-50. The approval of that agreement.
So just to clarify, we are just approving the first, or the 2 others are approved if they bring an agreement back?
Yeah, we will be bringing those back. So you will be signing the Wireless Edge master agreement.
Okay.
And you're approving in substantial form the other 2. So.
Great. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Lloyd, Freckleton.
Second, Bob
Lloyd.
Davis.
Okay. Any discussion or questions? All right, quick roll call. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Dye?
Aye.
Freckleton?
Aye.
Trustee Hobbs?
Aye.
Trustee Holness?
Aye.
Trustee Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
And Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
The second agreement is an easement agreement for the Riverfront Esplanade Park. So all parties are behind this project. This easement is to grant the foundation running the park to have immediate access to our property for landscaping purposes. We did add a provision that it does not include inside the building. So if we get approval of this agreement, we will be bringing a license agreement next month, and we will have that done for the next board agenda to need approval of this easement agreement.
Before I get a motion, I just want to say that I am on the Riverfront Esplanade Foundation, and so I will abstain from this vote. So if I can get a motion.
So moved.
Bob
Lloyd,
Davis.
Freckleton.
And a
Second, Bob Davis.
Okay, a roll call vote. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Dye?
Aye.
Trustee Freckleton?
Aye.
Trustee Hobbs?
Aye.
Trustee Holness?
Aye.
I'll abstain. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
And Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
Motion passed.
The third item is more informational. In your package, you have approved the termination of an employee. That employee, through their attorney, has filed for a petition to have a hearing. So we'll be bringing that petition to this board next month to go to the next round.
Great. Facilities?
Yes, good afternoon. We have two items on the facilities agenda today for approval. The first one is in addition to the contract for the contractor that's working on our old cafeteria building, which is going to be the new home for the Center for Women and Men and the Veterans Center. They have had a previous contract with us for a little over $1.5 million. We are currently nearing the end of that construction phase and have identified additional work to the building, which would include the exterior building envelope and some spaces on the interior that were not included in the original project scope. So we are asking for an addition to their contract, including contingency, to be approved for WJ Construction Corporation.
Do I have a motion for this one?
So moved, Lloyd.
Awesome.
Okay. And it sounds like
Marianne.
Marianne seconded. Great. Any discussion?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
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 Tarkleton?
Aye.
Haas?
Aye.
Trustee Holmes?
Aye.
Trustee Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
And Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passed.
Thank you. The next item is for the Fiber Palm Coast Campus Building 1 remodel project. This project is to house our nursing program up there, the expansion of the nursing program. This is for the architect. The solicitation went out and we had 6 respondents for this project, very well qualified architects. We did all the presentations for the first time virtually, so it was a new thing for us. It went actually very well. 3 firms were shortlisted, which was Hugh Zollers, Hall and Oval Architects, and DLR Group. After those 3 were reviewed, the number 1 firm was DLR Group. So we are asking for approval for the rankings as well as moving forward with the contract for.
Jerry,
So moved, Lloyd.
Right.
Lloyd moved. Do I have a second?
Second, Gary.
Any discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Dye?
Aye.
Tarkleton?
Aye.
Haas?
Aye.
Trustee Holmes?
Aye.
Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
Motion passes. Move on to finance now, I think.
Good afternoon. I'll be presenting the financial report for the period ending April 30th, 2020. We're on Exhibit 1. Exhibit 1 will provide you revenue collected to date. We have 27.2, which is 98% of our tuition and fees, 41.3 in state revenue, 3.1 in other revenues, which is 53% of the budget, 8.2 in District Board of Trustees transfers as of 6/30/19 meeting, making a total of $79.8 million collected to date, which is 86% of the operational budget. Now we're on expenses. To date, we have 49.4 in personnel expenses, 21.4 million in current expenses, which is 18.8 in actual and 2.6 in encumbrances. We have 1.3 in capital outlay, which includes actual expenses of 1.1 and encumbrances of 285,000, which is a total of 72.2 total obligations to date. This is 78% of the operational budget of the 92.4. And keep in mind, we have a year-to-date actual expenses, which is 69.2, which is 75% of the budget. The next exhibit is the fund balance that we always present. Our AFR fund balance was at $17.8 million, and our state requirement is at 4.8. Our board designated is still at 2.4, unallocated at 9.7, and of that 9.7, if you see the note under the pie chart, $6 million of that has already been transferred based on board's approval in the 6/30/19 meeting, and $675 is an equipment refresh. Our year-end encumbrances is $261. Our rollover is $563. So net projected fund balance as of this report is $22.2 million. The next slide provides a comparison of actual revenue received to budget. And we do a comparison of last year to this year. This year we collected 86%, which is $79.7 million. And last year we collected 85% at this time, which is $76.7 million. The next slide provides a 3-year analysis of tuition and fees collected to this point in time. And as you can see, we're at 27.1 in tuition and fees to date, and that's of April 30th. That's pretty good because that's about 98% of our budget, which is really good at this point in time. In 17-18, we had 26.9, and 18-19, we had 27.3.
And just to note there, the note is that we actually budgeted a 2% decrease in tuition, and is why we're performing as well as we are. So we're conservative on that tuition budget going into the year. And I didn't know this pandemic was going to happen.
The next slide is comparison of actual expenses to budgeted. It presents us with a delineation of personnel, current, and capital expenses. Last year, this date, we were at $51 million for personnel. We're at $49.4 this year. Our capital current expenses were at $16.6 last year and $21.3 this year. And the reason why we had that difference is because we transferred $5.6 million, which is included in those current expenses as non-mandatory transfers. So that's the difference. Our capital outlay is at 1.3, and last year it was at 1.4. This chart provides you the major capital projects that Chris is working on in his department. And if you go to the next slide, I can delineate that. The revenues, which beginning fund balance is 31.7. Cash and appropriations received to date is 8.7. Our total expended and encumbered to date is 10.8. And our net fund balance in Fund 7 is 29.6 million. These are the major projects that we have in progress. 4 have been completed to date, and 10 are still in progress. The 10 that are in progress are expected to be complete. They range from being completed through May 2020 to June 2025. Are there any questions?
Questions for Esmeline? Great presentation, thanks.
That's the budget transfer. Okay, this, we're presenting to the board a budget transfer of about $2 million going from Fund 1 to Fund 3. It's recommended that the board of trustees approve this transfer at this particular time.
I have a motion.
So moved, Lloyd Frackleton.
Second.
Second, Haas.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Dye?
Aye.
Frackleton?
Aye.
Aye.
Molnitz?
Aye.
Trustee Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Lubai.
Aye.
The next presentation is the ACH wire transfers that we always present to board over $50,000. And these are approved by me and Dr. Labasa on a periodic basis. Any questions? The last item on the agenda is the foundation audit for the period ending December 31st, 2019. This audit had no weaknesses, material weaknesses, nor any findings. So it's being presented to the board for information only.
I will just echo that the outbrief, the auditors were very complimentary of the foundation and the college and the cooperation and the rectors, so appreciate all the work on that. A clean audit is always a good audit.
It is. Thank you.
Okay, great. We are going to turn to academic affairs now, and just for the board's sake, we're going to put these in groups just to limit the number of roll call votes. So Amy had a great suggestion. So we're going to do A by itself, then we're going to do B through F, which are very similar together, and then we'll do a G by itself.
Thank you, Dr. Howard. The first item is approval of course deletions. As part of our catalog revision process every year, we present a list of courses to the board to remove from our inventory. They've not been taught in 5 years or more or are not expected to be taught.
I have a motion.
Hold the vote.
Got Betty.
Group motion.
So we just need to clarify, we had Trustee Holness for the motion. Who was the second?
Lloyd.
That's the Mary Ann.
Lloyd, okay. And now we do a quick roll call. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Dye?
Aye.
Appleton?
Aye.
Aye.
Holness?
Aye.
Trustee Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
Thank you. So the next few items are curriculum changes, and I'll just go through them, and then if there are any questions at the end, I'll be glad to answer them. The first one are some some course revisions to the program of broadcast TV production. These are the science degree, swapping out 3 courses that are more photography focused with courses that are more videography focused that the faculty and advisory board felt were more pertinent to the program. No change in program length. The next item is approval of course revisions to the environmental science technology associated science degree. Upon review of the curriculum, we believe we needed to add a humanities course to better align with SAC standards. So we replaced a 4-credit geology with a 3-credit humanities and added a 1-credit lab to the soil sciences course. So no change in program length. It's really just swapping out one humanities course for another one. The third item is a state-mandated change to the Firefighter Program length. The state updates its frameworks, and we will be going from 398 hours to 492 hours. They've changed this in the past every few years. They review the curriculum and update that standard, so we'll change to be compliant with the state framework on that one. The next one are some restructuring of the BAS and its concentration. We were finding that because they were a little different, it was confusing students and advisors, so we have settled on making the concentration 15 credit hours and the core in the BAS program 27 credit hours. So all students will take the same core, and then they can concentrate either in management, in project management, or in hospitality. And this will make it easier if we want to add further concentrations down the road. There'll be a clean 15 hours and can work with the same core. So there were a couple of new courses. We had to adjust some credits. There's no change in program length. And then the last one of this set is to add on to our machining program. Right now we offer CNC Machining, which is a 600-hour certificate. The state frameworks will allow us to add 900 hours to that and have the students finish with a 1,500-hour advanced machining certificate. So they would be able to use the credits in the first one and just fold them into the next level. So much like we have welding and advanced welding, we now have machining and advanced machining. And we ask for your approval of these changes.
Great explanation. So I have a motion for all of the changes.
Lloyd
Bob
moves.
Davis.
We have Bob Davis and Lloyd is the second. Okay, any discussion? Quick roll call. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Dye?
Aye.
Appleton?
Aye.
Haas?
Aye.
Oldest?
Aye.
Trustee Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
Motion is passed.
Thank you very much. The last item is an information item. It is per statute, we present to the board a spreadsheet of the cost of the core curriculum gen ed course textbook for each semester. This is the spreadsheet for the summer semester, and I'll be glad to take any questions.
We have a lot of interest in the cost of textbooks, as we should. So any questions or comments from the board? Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Tom, back to you for the constituent head.
Yes, thank you. And we have, each constituent head has submitted a statement. So, am I doing that, Lynn?
I can do or you can do. Up to you.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Sure. All right. So from Stephen Mixitz, our newly graduate SGA president. Thank you, Stephen, if you're out there listening, in your participation in commencement. So from Stephen, I'll begin. The SGA officially adjourned on May 5th to conclude the current board members' terms, including Stephen's, in accordance with their constitution. Student Life and several of the former board members will be working to help a new board transition into the positions in the fall. The SGA decided to postpone official elections until fall to provide for a more accurate opportunity for representation of the student body. Stephen wanted to thank everyone for the opportunity to present the student voice during his time as SGA president, and looks forward to being involved with the Alumni Association now that he's a graduate. Respectfully, Stephen Mixitz. And I believe Stephen is a new Brown & Brown employee as well.
That is correct. We're proud to have him.
Yeah. All righty. And then from Alicia Ellert, representing Administrative Council, report. The Bylaws Review Committee, chaired by Vice Chairperson Dr. Carla Moore, along with members Alicia Alexander and Cheryl Cohen, met to review the bylaws. They proposed some changes, which was sent to the membership at the beginning of May for review. The council will discuss the proposed changes at the next meeting on June 3rd. The nomination committee, chaired by Hector Valley, along with members Dr. Cheryl Weems and Tina Myers, solicited nominations for the slate of officers. Those who accepted their nominations were added to the ballot, which was sent to the council on April 29th. The nominating committee will report the results of the election at the June 3rd meeting. Officers serve for 12 months and begin their term on August 1st. From Alicia. Okay. And representing the CEA is Samantha Tatum, and Samantha has that she would like to tell each of you that it has been an honor to stand in front of you and represent the CEA members at Daytona State College. Moving forward in the fiscal year 2021, the CEA is looking for 2 exceptional members that would like to be more involved with the CEA. The positions are becoming available are the CEA President and the CEA Vice President. These roles will help make more connections with various staff members, faculty, students, and community members. They will have the honor to represent the CEA members at various events. This is an opportunity for CEA employees to apply their skills and knowledge and obtain from their time here at the ESC to continue supporting meaningful initiatives in our college community. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Samantha. And Faculty Senate, that is from Dr. Levon Towell. Faculty Senate has concluded the semester's meetings, and he would like to thank the faculty and students for adapting so well under impossible conditions. Many faculty are on much-needed break, while others are already teaching summer classes, continuing their excellent work. Some faculty are being recognized for this work through their faculty awards, which were recently voted on and will be awarded in the fall. They eagerly await awarding these individuals, acknowledging their specific work, and as a representative of their amazing work done by all Daytona State faculty. Thank you, Dr. Towell. And from the Professional Council, which is represented by Kristen Getka, the April Professional Council meeting was held 100% online with huge success. It had the largest participation so far this year, with almost 50 professional employees live on the call, and many more who watched the recording later. The theme of the meeting was mindfulness during COVID-19. Tips and resources were shared. The theme led to a robust discussion about thoughts, concerns moving forward from COVID-19. During and after the meeting, they received a large number of questions and concerns from professionals related to the pandemic and returning to the office. All were passed on to Human Resources. They are in the process of seeking officers for the 2021 academic year and will hold elections in early June. Their next meeting is Friday, May 29th. They plan to follow up on items from the April meeting and share a new platform for professionals to use to submit kudos, recommendations, questions, concerns, etc. Again, submitted by Kristen Getka. And that concludes the constituent heads' report.
Great, thank you, Tom, and any of the constituent heads who are listening in, thanks so much for your service and for keeping the board informed of activities across the spectrum of stakeholders at the college. We appreciate it. So with that, I'm going to go a little bit out of order. I'm going to start with the approval of the schedule, which is on page 218. And it just lays out when we're going to meet. So if we could get a motion for that.
So moved, Lloyd Freckleton.
Second?
Second, Lloyd.
And any discussion? Quick roll call. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Dye?
Aye.
Freckleton?
Aye.
Haas?
Aye.
Wallace?
Aye.
Trustee Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Next, I'm going to move on to the approval of the President's annual contract, which is on page 220. I did want to say that, we reviewed the President's performance last meeting, and he and his staff received overwhelming praise for doing a great job. They continue to do that, steering the institution through some really interesting times. Tom and I had a lot of discussions, decided with all of the financial uncertainty and situation that probably wasn't a great time to make significant changes to a contract, but we are bringing it forward basically the way it was last year. I do want to point out there is a clause in there that if the situation changes and things get back to normal, Tom would receive any pay raise that was given to other similarly situated employees, and of course the board can always re-entertain the contract at our leisure. So with that, the contract is largely presented as it was before, with a few kind of administrative cleanups, if you will.
So moved, Lloyd Freckleton.
Second?
second it.
Trustee Holness, was that you with a second?
Yes.
Sure. Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call. Trustee Davis?
Aye.
Trustee Doherty?
Aye.
Trustee Dye?
Aye.
Preston?
Aye.
Trustee Haas?
Aye.
Trustee Holness?
Aye.
Trustee Howard? Aye. Trustee Lloyd?
Aye.
Trustee Lubai?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Tom, thanks again for all you and your team do.
Thank you. Thank you all.
I'll call your attention to page 225. There are some opportunities for professional development for the board. Of course, in this environment, not sure how many of those will or won't go off, but if anybody is interested in attending one of those, please let Lynn or I know, and we'll make sure to keep that in mind. I know we've gone a little over, so I'll just go real quickly here. A great meeting. The work that you guys do day in and day out makes it easy for the board. If you look back at the list of things we just talked about, you saw a lot of diligent planning going into how we might react to situations that are, uncertain but really important for the constituents we serve. We appreciate that. Some pretty significant agreements. The wireless edge one, that's a great one. That's, if you think about it, it's almost like free money. And I think you guys did a great job in negotiating that contract and making sure we protected our interests for things that we already had. Great financial report, clean audit on the foundation side. It's always nice to see the thoughtful changes in the academic programs. It's obvious that the staff isn't just sitting there letting things go as they are. They're always looking to see how can we make things better for our students. And at the end of the day, that's what's important. I always like to comment just on some things that the marketing team sent out because I think they're great announcements and some great things this past month. I think a nursing student recognized by the State Board of Education, that was maybe just this week if I remember right,
Yep.
For her work on the front lines of the pandemic. So the number 4 ranking in the U.S. for lowest cost college. I think there's probably a lot of students that are very thankful for that ranking. A Cook Foundation undergraduate recipient a scholarship. That's a pretty prestigious scholarship, so that's great news for the university. And then the number 3 ranking for best program for paramedics to RN. So just a small sampling, but always nice to see that other people outside of the college are recognizing the great work that you and your teams do throughout the year. So, and then the last thing I'll just end with is, and Tom already mentioned this, but I did get a chance to participate in the virtual commencement. And for those of you that obviously couldn't be there because they limited it to a very few number of people for obvious reasons, it was just really professionally well done. People had their masks on, and there was tape lines to make sure we stood 6 feet apart, and there were a lot of people behind the scenes that made sure it worked and came off without a hitch. And I think it was very meaningful, as you see by the numbers, to the students and their families. And so I just want to thank everybody that had a role in that. I thought it was a great event. So with that, I will turn it over to the board members for some quick comments, and let's start with the Vice Chair, Trustee Holness.
I would just want to say ditto to everything that Chair Howard said. And again, I did get a chance to watch the virtual ceremony, and it was extremely well done. I enjoyed reading the comments made by the students and the parents. Again, this just highlights what a professional staff that we have. They've had to undergo so many different challenges with a lot of short times, and they always excelled. And looking at the financial audits, we've got used to finding nothing wrong. And that, again, gets back to the staff, the leadership of Tom. And Tom, I know we keep each time talking about what a fantastic and great job and how blessed we are that you are in the role that you are. And the fact that no matter what challenges we give to the staff, they always come forward. Andy, again, it's a blessing and to be a member of this board and to constantly to tell people, again, what a jewel this Daytona State is to Volusia County. I hope everyone is staying safe. These have been some very trying times, and we talk about looking at our families coming together and helping us to prioritize what's really important. And through these times, we've had a chance to just see and highlight what a great institution Daytona State College is. Everyone, have a good day.
Thank you. Trustee Davis?
Thank you, Betty.
Ain't no more I can say. Betty said it all, and I double stamp it. She's right on mark. She's acknowledged everything that I was going to say. Thank you, Betty. Thank you, President Tom. Thank you, the entire staff and at Daytona State College. And also, I too am proud to be a trustee of Daytona State. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Trustee Doherty?
So everybody kind of took what I was going to say too. Just great work to everyone. You know, it's not easy to navigate all this uncertainty. We all question the information that we're given, and we just have to go with it the way we all have. And you've all done a great job. I don't think it's over. And congrats to all the graduates. You know, wish them the best. It's kind of like trying to find a job in 2008. It was tough, but you know, I'm sure that they'll do well. But I wish them the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Dye?
Just in brief, I don't know that it's easy to lead in good times, but it's certainly easier. And the test of leadership is when it's challenged. And I think this Tom and team certainly have lived up to the challenge. And it's not just for me, not just watching and seeing how it's processed, but the instinct and the character piece of it, which is intangible sometimes, is really inspiring to me because it's done very thoughtfully with a great deal of compassion and heart, and you're, again, to be congratulated. And I, like the others, I'm very proud to be a part of the organization.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you. Trustee Haas?
You did say Hobbs, right? I just wanted to say it's so good to hear everybody's voice. I miss you all very much, and I'm glad at least I get to hear your voices. And I just want to give that recognition to the whole staff at the college for all the continuous improvements that you have spearheaded through this really, incredible turmoil that we're going through. It really is so reassuring to know that our students are not going to suffer because of what's going on. You've really, you've just gone above and beyond. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Trustee Freckleton?
Yes, I miss my cohorts, and I hope soon we'll be able to sit together again so I can see your beautiful faces and chide you or have fun. To Tom and his staff, you just keep producing, and we appreciate so much what you're doing. And to everybody out there, this is Memorial Day weekend. It's going to be a somber Monday, especially with this virus that's around, but hope you enjoy and think about those veterans that never made it back. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Trustee Lloyd?
Thanks, Lloyd.
Trustee Lloyd? Trustee Lubai?
Yes, I just want to echo a few things and just say great audit again to ICE and her team. No surprises to us, but just another reflection of the great work that they do. Also to the leadership, Tom and everybody else, just the continued adaptability and flexibility from not only the leadership team, but also the staff and the students as well throughout these times. Trustee Howard, Chair Howard, thank you for bringing up all the different recognitions that we get earlier here. It's amazing, and frequently I find myself just hitting the forward button to the Palm Coast Observer and to the Flagler Broadcasting folks, just letting them know, making sure that they know and publicize the great things that we're doing at Daytona State. Dr. Locklear and the team continue to work on the cost of textbooks. Awesome job. And finally, Lloyd, I'm glad you brought it up. I was going to as well, and that is remembering the people that gave it their all. They gave their all and, did not make it back on this Memorial Day. We always got to remind ourselves that the reason for that holiday is to really celebrate their lives and what they did on our behalf. So thank you all, and miss seeing everybody.
Thank you. And one last time, Trustee Lloyd, are you?
Yeah, I would just second every comment already made. So thank you very much.
Hey, thank you so much. And again, appreciate all the board members being here. Thanks for all you do. Again, staff, thanks for all you do. Hope everybody does enjoy Memorial Day, and I echo those comments. There's a lot of people to thank for Memorial Day.
Thank you all as well.
And with that, we will adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.